Hey everybody, it's Gail, and this is Errata-Hate episode 14, and today we are going to talk about hairpin lace. So hairpin lace, this is a hairpin lace loom, was invented, I have to assume, by a woman who was very bored at a party. Because what happened is that at some point in the history of crochet, a woman took a hairpin out of her hair, and it was one of those that's open, and got a crochet hook and some yarn and thought, I can do something with this, and hairpin lace was born. And if that is not I'm bored at a party and I hope this guy stops talking to me behavior, I don't know what is. So now we have handy hairpin lace looms. This is from Clover. It's well made. This is good solid plastic, nice metal here. And the way that hairpin lace is done is by measurement. So each of these holes is 1/2 inch. And so when you look up a hairpin lace pattern, it says lace is going to be 1 inch wide. And so what you would do is you would set this up so that you can see 1/2 inch. And you would set this up, and then you're going to create loops using these two posts. And I will be doing a tutorial at the end of this to show you how it's done. So this loom comes with an extra post. I have not seen any hairpin lace projects that call for a third post, so it's an extra. And it's great because it's easy to store on the loom when you're not using it. Of course, when you are using it, you have to put it somewhere you're not going to lose it. I tend to stick it in the same bag as my ergonomic crochet hook holder, which I reviewed back in, I think it was episode 2. But the things I really like about this, so hairpin lace, you work a bunch, and then, you run out of space. You pop off one of the ends, you pull a bunch of the loops off of the posts, and then you just reattach and keep going. And again, I'll be showing you this in a minute. I really like this little loom because it's small enough, it's very easy to work with, and most looms are about this small. You can get taller ones. But I also like it because it's got these little, if you can see it, it's got this hole right here, and what you do with that is you run a length of yarn through the hole, and then you run it down the whole side of the project, and you stitch around it, and so when you pull your loops off, you have sort of a lead line that you can tie together so that those loops don't get twisted as you keep working, because part of working with it is that you turn it constantly. I do not use a lead line because I'm me. I just take a hair tie, and when I pull off a length, I sort of fold it up, put the hair tie around it, and keep going, and you get the same effect. But it's all about how you like to work. So I bought this years ago, and I only just finally started working with it. I want to say it was $10 or $12. Very inexpensive. You can find it at any craft store. Hairpin lace does require a lot of seaming. That's a big part of it, is that you make these individual strips and then you sew them together. You can also crochet them together. I mean, there's all kinds of ways to join. And you get a really beautiful floaty sort of fabric that has a lot of visual interest without having to do a lot of different stitches. So I think it's a great part of sort of the crochet library. So unsurprisingly, big fan. And now I'm going to go and set up to make a tutorial that I hope is understandable. I had a problem when I was first working with this in finding a tutorial that really made sense to me. I have 3D space issues in terms of like visualization, and so I was having a hard time understanding what was happening, and I think it took 2 or 3 different tutorials for me to finally understand the movements I was supposed to be doing, and so that's what I'm going to try to show you. So I'll be back in a minute. Hey everybody, I've got Sean behind the camera here so that I can show you this hairpin lace tutorial. So the first thing I did was take out this extra post, and we're just going to set it to the side for the moment. And this width right here is what I'm working on right now, but I'm going to widen it so that you can see more clearly how these loops work together. So the first thing you do when you're working in hairpin lace is you're going to make a slip stitch, and you want it to have a long tail, because you're going to come in here, and what you're going to do is you're going to pull the stitch so that you loop it over one of the posts, and it's about you want to center it so it's halfway between the posts, which is one of the reasons I like the spacings on here, because it gives me a really good visual way to tell. And you want to hold on to that. It's moving on me. There you go. Hold on to that. Put the top on so nothing goes missing. And then what we're going to do is we are going to wrap this yarn, the working yarn, all the way around. So we've wrapped it all the way around. And then we're going to come into that first loop. We're going to pull up a loop. And then you're just going to pull through a loop to secure that stitch. So this is your first hairpin lace loop. And now this is where you're going to have to just get used to the motion. You got to push your hook back through, and we're going to do a 180. And then we're going to pull through that loop you just made. Well, we will in just a second, I promise. Pull through that loop you just made. Pull a loop through, and then do a single crochet. And so this is really what you're going to be doing. It's hook through, rotate, find the loop you just finished, and then complete a single crochet. And it's literally just that, again and again and again. I love hairpin lace for watching movies, because I can get a bunch of them done. I can get a bunch of loops done in one go. And it's for, once you get used to the rhythm, it's getting used to the rhythm and the constant turning of the work, I think. I think those are the two big things. You gotta build it into your system the same way you learned how to do any other stitch. And the great thing about this is, let's say you made a few, you're proud of yourself, you're kind of done for the day, you can just pull the loop up, and you've got a ready-made place to hold on to your work. The other thing, let's pretend that this is full of loops and you're ready to start pulling loops off. Just take off the bottom here, and then you'll just take them off by rows and keep count. That's an important part because it's both sides of the stitch are considered a single stitch. So you want the same number of loops still on your loom when you're finished. So that's really the basics of hairpin lace in terms of just working with the tool. And it's the turning that confused me, and so I wanted to make sure that you saw that. So that is it for episode 14. I will see you in a week. Although this is actually the very last thing we're filming for this batch of episodes, but you didn't know that till now. Just want to remind you, as always, there's a Patreon. It's linked down in the basement, and all of my other places on the internet are there as well, and I would love to see the stuff that you're making, so I'll see you guys soon.